Hey, what's going on, everybody? Robert Marzullo here with Ram Studios, and got another video for you. And today I'm going to work on some more poses and gestures, and just want to kind of go over the motion line. I call it the spine when I do mine, but a lot of people will use this to define the motion of the gesture, and it really helps to get some cool comic book poses. So I'll start off here. I'll do a couple side by side. Let's see, like this. And let's do another one over here like this. Something like that. Okay, so what happens there is that by using this gesture and conforming, your basic shapes around it, you get a more believable flow to your character. So let's say that this one, he's kind of throwing a punch or something. I'm going to try to keep these action oriented too. Throwing a punch. There's the bend to the torso, connects to the pelvic region, and keeping with that same flow. I guess the legs can go, into a different kind of movement. But that's the spine and the movement of the gesture. So you kind of keep focused on that one. And for this purpose, to keep it quick, I'll do the somewhat of a cylinder method. But when I do my anatomy now, I do rope drawing over top of this, and I feel that it really works out better. And even like what I'm doing right here with the arm, that's kind of a rope method. See how I didn't draw any cylinders in there? Um, but your beginning stages, this would be your rough. Can be anything you want it to be, and your finished stages can be anything you want those to be. But for the very final one, I like the rope drawing now. So I talk about that in some of my other videos. So if you got any questions on that, you can check out some of the other videos on anatomy, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about there. All right, so now this arm, here's our chest. So you can also kind of do the center line to the front of it too. So there's our spine that's hidden in the back. Here's the center line for the front. I'll tuck this arm back, and I just kind of draw. You know, the hands are usually just like a block with another block for the thumb, and that at least signifies where the hand is in position and angle, and then I can fine tune it when I come back over it. The head from this pose we get kind of covered up. Maybe get a little bit of the chin. I don't even think you would. Erase that guy out of there. And you just kind of get the eyes peering over the arm there. And I think the fist would be kind of turned a bit, angled down, something like that. Running out of room here. That's why I like doing my roughs, because I can never tell how much room I need. I always end up having to resize something or move something, but that's okay as long as it's in your rough stage. That's why you want to do your rough pencils, because if you do something all fine tuned and you run out of room and it's not the right scale or whatever, you run out of paper. Nothing's worse than running out of paper and trying to attach another sheet or something crazy. I have done that. Or post-it notes. You got an arm hanging off the side and there's a post-it note stuck to it. That is embarrassing. Okay, so there's that, and then kind of posture up the back foot to make the like you know, he's stretching that arm. But honestly, like now that I'm looking at it, that arc should have been even more eccentric, like that, and it would have made for a better punch pose. So, but this will give us a starting point to show how that gesture line has a lot to do with your end result. So, and that's not even our end result. That's just a step closer. So I'll put that guy up there. Move on to the next. Come over here. Oh, by the way, I'm using Manga Studio 5EX today, everybody. So just I get that question a lot in my comments there. So I just wanted to make sure that I address that, because I think I have it set up where you can't really see a whole lot. I do that because some of them don't like you showing off the architecture. I got to check into this one and see if it's allowed or frowned upon or whatever. And I am doing these videos monetized or whatever, so I can't, there's certain things I can't show, just like, you're not supposed to do a video and then, draw a specific superhero that's copywritten and say it's such and such and monetize it. Same thing with, I guess, their software, which I don't know, I think it's kind of silly, but I know some are open for it and don't care, but others do. So, at any rate, that's the software I'm using, though. The tools are pretty synchronized with, say, Photoshop. I actually think it's got a lot of similarities to Photoshop. So, just think around with them. You'll get them. I mean, if you need a video on me explaining that, I'll eventually do one. But it's all pretty basic stuff, and it does. They have made these softwares a lot more cross-platform. Like Control T is always transform and move. It's almost in all of them now, and they need to do that. Um, Makes it easier for the budding artist to transverse from one to the other. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of sketching in these little bits and pieces of the character and getting my feel for it. There's my spine, this arm's forward, so we'll do kind of an uppercut kind of lunging punch, which I'd have to make sure that this is the leg on the right side along with this punch, because you always want that opposite leg. Nobody punches with the same arm that they lift up on that leg. You would fall onto your face, or it just doesn't have the same power to it. So keep that in mind. Like like right now, it looks like either one of those legs could be up, but if this is the right arm to the character, then the leg that's up needs to be the left leg. I can't remember the name of that. There's actually a word for it, but I just call it balance. Just refer to it simply as balance. That's, you're balancing out the character, the yin yang of the movement. So let's see here. The back would go like this, roll in like that. That'd be more the spine, shoulder. And this is, I'll show you real quick the rope drawing like this. You'd go, the muscle, the tricep goes here, the elbow goes here. You roll around the back of the arm here, the top or the closer part of the arm here, the little wrist muscle there, and that's how you do the rope drawing. It's just with the muscles and knowing where they start and end, kind of, or whatever looks cool sometimes, and just filling that in. Versus doing the cones, which are like cone, cone. And the only bad thing is you get too much into the habit of doing that, your characters come out very stiff and blocky at the end. But if you do this flowing method with the anatomy, they start to have a very kind of fluid feel to them. Um, it comes out pretty cool when you're done. And you just got to make sure that your initial stage, like this one, isn't too stiff. Which is hard, because it's real easy to make your characters overly stiff. I struggle with it, actually. So I might redraw something a couple times to get some fluidity in there. And one thing that's really important, if you struggle with that, is in your initial beginning sketch to actually try not to tense up on your pencil and to draw very loose. Almost, you can actually hold say here's your pencil. I have to draw a picture because I can't explain anything. Here's your pencil, okay. Instead of holding down here, you typically hold, that's a hand, by the way, you would hold back here with your funky hand. And what happens is, because you alleviate that control, you come out with more fluid, loose lines. Then by the end of your drawing, you tense up on it and clench up on it real tight, and then that's when you do all your detail work, your cross hatching. Then you're going to get a lot more fluid design with that. So just a good thing to keep in mind. I was told that by a famous artist back in the day, and it really resonated with me and made a lot of sense, and I was like very thankful that he took the time to explain that to me, and it was like gold. But alright, there's a couple poses. I don't even know if that other one's a punch. It almost looks like a funky run, but you get the idea. You get the idea of what we're trying to do here. So like if I take these lines and I really, alright, I'll do a real uppercut, but I want an uppercut and I want kind of a flow about it. So here's the Here's the uppercut, right? Just a stretched out S. But now that gives me my starting point. Here's my shoulders. I want them really, exaggerated as far as the angle. So this would be like where the clavicles go, collarbones. So, and then now we got the torso, which, is always kind of this bean shape with a rounded opening. We're looking up at it, so it kind of helps to do that rounded opening, even though, that's more the cone style, but it just gives you that perspective you're looking for. And here's the pelvic, which is another little rounded shape with openings for the legs. And this, I always kind of picture a superhero toy with the legs ripped off. We've all done that, and that's kind of what that looks like to me. So there's our torso for our uppercut shot or whatever. Let me move that up a little more. Okay, so now you get your one arm coming up like this. I guess that would be the power shot. It's looking up. Now, based on this perspective, you got to kind of take into account that the shoulder and the chest is going to block some of the face. That's what's going to make this look very stretched, and you got to remember when you're doing your perspective looking up that the features would be higher on the face, like that the chest is blocking a good amount of the head. And what else? This is also an angle that's blocking, that would block the other arm. So let's just get some of this in there. All these lines would actually roll up. If you're looking at a chest from straight on, the chest kind of does like this, right? And the sternum, the rib cage kind of does this. Okay, but the only difference is now that you're looking up at it, all those lines are going to do this even further. So even your chest is going to roll up. The top of the chest, all that's going to go up in that perspective. So keep that in mind when you draw, like, the upshot, the infamous upshot, because they are trickier. I mean, especially the jawline. That's one I practice all the time and still have not mastered it. I mean, I'm getting closer and closer, but it's still just not, I'm not happy with it. It's a very tricky thing to get right. The jaw kind of does this thing where it still goes down until the head is extremely tilted back. Then it appears to, go flat and eventually go up with the perspective. But it's pretty dramatic. The head has to be tilted all the way back for that to occur. So, and the best way to kind of get an idea for that is just draw a bunch of pictures of the upshot over and over again. Break them down from photos, and then you'll eventually probably get something you're happy with. I don't know. It's one of those poses for me. I just really don't like it. I don't get it right very often, unfortunately. But with practice, All right. So I have this leg going up. Or wait. Yeah, that leg going up. Which I think in that pose, I'm kind of picturing that. I think that'd be fine. I'm not liking that arm. It almost looks too straight. So I want to try to bring that over. I think the form was too long too. Let's try bringing that over a little more. Shoulder, tricep. And I think on the tricep from this angle, trying to look at my arm here, I think the inside one is longer, outside one's shorter. Can't remember. I'll have to pull some anatomy. But that's the other thing. This is just your roughs, and then when you do get to the part where you're filling in all your muscles, if you got any, ifs and ands in your mind, you just go ahead and, pull your anatomy books, muscle magazines, whatever you got. Look in a mirror, Unless you're just totally jello and you can't see any of your muscles, then the mirror's not going to help you much. But I'm sure if you're like me, you're pretty ripped up. Oh yeah. Alright, not really, but oh well. It's the holidays, man. Come summertime, I'll be cut again. A little less each year, but oh well. Alright, so there's our foot. Our little wedge shape for a foot. And then this leg, I think, just to give it a little bit more interesting perspective, I'll have the knee up closer, then the leg tucked back. that. And this arm fully tucked back to where you just get the wrist popping out right here, little fist right there, something like that. And again, ran out of room. Imagine that. And I'm kind of picturing this guy flying up in the air. Even though I'm still not digging that arm. It looks way too straight. But you know, I'm going to roll with it because in all honesty, these are just gestures. They should be quick. They should be, you know, not perfection, but you should get something out of them. And you got to remember, I'm still going to end up taking this design to two or more stages, and I could probably fix something in each one of those stages to, you know, get it right. So go ahead and place that one off to the side, and we'll just do a couple more, and then I'll let you guys get back to your lives. Now those are a couple punching ones. Let's do the reaction. So the punch and the reaction. So now the reaction, let's do a bend like this. Alright, torso again, like that, shoulders, one up higher. Another good thing to remember is always make the shoulders and the pelvic on a different angle. Gives a little more interesting vibe to it. So there's a sternum to draw the chest and make it look really tilted back, away from perspective or in a further angle on perspective. Just draw the chest shorter. That's another little trick. Have the sternum get a little bit larger since they're really stretched backwards. Do that line down the middle to see where you're at, even though I'm getting a little bit mucky on that design already because I got too many scribbles in there. And then this, your lat to your waist gets real small, the lat gets large, waist gets small, boom, all the way, you know, right to the pelvic, because it's bent back to where, you know, as you can see here, it's more stretched out, it's longer, there it's longer. Here it's going to be real short and narrow, almost non-existent, because, you know, it's rolled back like that. So chest, here's your shoulder, arms just kind of, you know, flailed, I don't know if that's a word, arms just kind of flailing back, what is that freaking word? Well, flipped back, just kind of, you know, thrown back there. He's, you know, he's not focused on where his arms are because he's just got, you know, smacked in the face. So he's just trying to get away from the pain, like, ow, that hurt. So I don't even know if that head signifies getting punched. Hold on. Let's do the really, yeah, there we go. We want him really getting rocked there. The chin's up here somewhere. And this goes back to that jawline part I said was just such a pain. Like, how far up does the jawline need to be at that angle to really show he's getting zapped? Somewhere in there, I think. I think that's a little better than the first one. But the angle of it's just tricky. I hate it. But, alright, we'll go with that. This arm's starting to look small. And then maybe his hands just kind of, you know, doing the that funky little claw effect where it's like, you know, stressed out. And this one will just kind of be flowing down in a way. Okay, I'm not digging that, sorry. Please forgive, but hey, it's good to show you the mistakes too, because that's just ugly. That was very oogly. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's really give a bend in there. Let's also pre-size this down so we got plenty of room this time. So I think that's the other problem. You shouldn't, especially digital where I got all this digital paper, I shouldn't be putting it to where I could run out of room because I have an infinite amount of room here. So, okay, so now let's try this again where the chest is really bowed out. I didn't mind that part. There's the waist, there's the sternum, the rib cage, chest muscles, something like that. The line down the middle. All right, there's the upper body. You know what? I know how to make this look like he's really just stretched back in pain. Put the legs back. Let's see how that comes out. And the arms further down, like he just got lifted up off the ground with the punch. Let's try that one. And the head getting hidden a little bit by the chest. And obviously that's almost too much where the head looks detached from the body, but that kind of works a little bit for an action scene or something more dramatic. So let me see if that'll work. Here's my cheesy little hand just to get the point across. The other thing that I need to talk more about when I do this is what's called artist shorthand. It's real important in comics because I don't think a lot of people understand it when they see it if they haven't drawn comics for a while. But you basically are giving yourself little notes for the next stage of your drawing. Um, it's funny, like giving yourself notes, but you do, and then even work with other artists, they start to learn your shorthand, and then it makes a better, more productive comic. So, all right, that one's a little better. I don't know if that looks entirely like he's gotten punched or maybe just blasted. It actually looks like he got blasted in the back with, I could see like energy hitting him right here or something, or maybe he got punched in the back of the neck. That's always fun. But like, still, it shows some action. You see how I did it with that curved line starting out. That's kind of the moral of the story. Um, I usually have to draw a few action poses to get ones I like, anyways, because I'm just, you know, I need to practice more of my action shots. They're uh, they're fun. They're more fun to do, but they're actually trickier sometimes. Like they're just real easy to. I get wrong, but you can pick stuff out and go, oh, that could have been better. It just very. You really want to stretch that spine. Like another thing that I've seen in other videos and witnessed by other good artists, they give you this bit of advice. Like, say here's the head, here's your sternum, chest, and here's your pelvic, right? And then here's your spine that connects them. Okay. Well, if you want to really make that look more interesting, they say to stretch these three components apart. You can only go so far because it is, even though it's comics, it still has to have a little bit of believability or realism. But the more you stretch them, let's try it. If I put this here, sternum way back here, and then pelvic way back here, kind of like that, and then just connect them together. You get this extreme flying angle like that, I guess. So, practice taking those three components, moving them around, and coming up with different things. But the main thing is just that curve, and that curve can apply to anything. So you saw the curve there. Let's try just even though this isn't an action pose, let's just try the the curve right there for something like, just sitting down. So there's the curve, there's the upper body, torso, lower body, pelvic, and here's the legs. Always try to make the legs interesting, doing some kind of, offset pose from one another. Even there, I probably made the shoulders a little too straight. And to the head's right here. Always show expression with the hands. So like here, you got your wedge shape for the hand, but then, he's trying to explain something, so he's got some, little hand expression going on there. Like that. Shoulder, again, the rope drawing. Yeah, just like that. You see it's starting to, starting to come together. I don't know if the legs are actually the right size or relation to the upper body for a sit down pose like this, but you get the point, and then always show the way that the foot comes down and connects to the ground, give it some relation there. This leg's tucked back. Made that too big. But yeah, but the main thing is that, you realize that this is just your sketch phase, and you're trying to get in that shorthand and that bit of information that's going to pass on to your next few portions of your drawing. Like that, like that. I guess at some point it'd be good to have a chair, but here, I'm going to give him a chair. The world's quickest chair. Done. That's one cheap chair. It's like a Kmart chair. Yeah, so there you go. Now that, and that all is just to show you basically that it starts off with that curve. You get that curve in there, you can work out the rest of the stuff, and, again, this isn't, none of these are just exceptional poses, but they give you a starting point, and then you work over top with your various layers, and you kind of fine tune them and get them where you want them. So that's the moral of the story. So start off with the gesture line down the middle, give it some nice bends and curvature to it, and that way you can make your characters really pop as far as the direction they're taking. And even like this one up here, where he's got the arm pose like that stretched out, you could look at that now and go, all right, I want an upper body shot right here, that same punch, but I want it more, eccentric. So now I take that bend and I move it further over like that. I redraw this guy real quick, using the same kind of setup. There's the torso. I like the way that the head kind of disappeared behind the arm. I think that's basically what you would end up seeing. So I'll draw this arm in real quick. This big tricep right there. The lat kind of comes over like this. You get a little bit of the chest muscle right there. And now he's really pushed, or the envelope's pushed to the pose, so you want that head even further forward. He's really stretching to deliver that punch. And that his face is being hidden. Something like that. And the fist, I think you'd still see it on a slight angle from this pose, or this perspective. you might even get a little bit of the back of this arm. That might actually look cooler. Let me try that. Now these stretched even further forward. And then you just get the fist down here. Something like that. You even shade that down. Yeah, and then let me go ahead and take this and I'll show you so it's easier to see. I'll grab a red line here and one more layer, and I'll show you that gesture line down the middle of each one of these. So here, it goes right through here, right there, there. You can just see how these lines show right through to the character's motion and movement. So there it is. That's the initial gesture, and from there you build out. So alright, well hopefully this showed you guys something and was informative, and please let me know if it was good or if bad or where I could improve, definitely. And please like and subscribe and share the videos so I can keep bringing these to you. And check out the Blackstone Eternal comic if you get a chance. You can find that on Indie Planet. There's links on my YouTube main page. So thanks very much for watching. Keep drawing, and best of luck with your endeavors. Bye-bye.